Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, November 5th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. And also, if you trade Bitcoin, I'll do a bonus analysis at the end. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around and changing. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one, ticker symbol DJT. Nice mover today, and this will mean a little bit more to those of you that watched a video from Friday. But if you did, hopefully remember me talking about this falling wedge pattern here being represented by that red line and green line down here. Now, it was a very tricky start because this morning the price came up here, broke through the pattern, and then just faked out, came all the way down here. Now, for those of you that were waiting at the bottom of the trend line, right around that area, you got a very, very nice buy. And then it was on the second break where it took a little bit of a pause and then just took off. So like I said, definitely very tricky. And if that first move got you, yeah, that's just kind of how the market can be at times. But it was that second break of the pattern that really played out nicely. So overall, though, good solid day. And I'm going to get things started off here in terms of some new updates. And mainly the key battlegrounds watching moving forward are now all about these two moving averages. That pink line there being the 200 period moving average, purple line there being the 50 period moving average. You can see the price came up here and basically got rejected by both those on a couple different occasions on the day. So that's not to say those levels can't be broken. But those would definitely be areas that you're going to need to watch. And of course, with the election coming up, that adds in a pretty spicy variable here that may make these moving averages look very, very strong, or maybe make them completely irrelevant if if the price just blasts up through there. So definitely got to keep in mind that there is that election element that is now very much so on the table here. If the price does pull back, then from a support standpoint and very important level, you want to keep an eye on this area down here. No fancy reasoning behind that other than that's just essentially where the buyer stepped in today, right around 29.35. Next one, SPPL. Well, I guess I should say it started off as a penny stock on the day, but just absolutely exploded and is now up over $1. So definitely got to think a lot of people will be watching this one as it set off the alarm bells as far as volume scanners and such. So let's map out some key levels. So from a support standpoint, the level here that I would say would make this look, the strongest moving forward. So say, hey, Clay, ideally speaking, what would make this chart look the strongest? That would be if the price can stay up there above the 83-cent mark. Now, with that being said, don't get me wrong, if the price falls below that level, that doesn't mean the entire chart's destroyed or ruined or anything like that, because from the overarching standpoint, it's all about that purple line there, the 50-period simple moving average. Keyword being moving, because I understand the price is way up here, this line's way down here. But as the week plays out, that line is going to move itself higher and higher and get more and more relevant. So it's essentially a trend line that's going to draw itself for you. So as long as the price is above that overall quote-unquote trend line, then the overall trend remains fully in the bull's favor. As far as areas of resistance are concerned, nothing fancy here, no fancy logic, just literally a question of where did the party finally stop today. That was essentially right up here at the $1.35 mark. So $1.35, you can see a couple occasions, price got right up around that level and ultimately got rejected. So no fancy, like I said, reasoning other than just where did the price finally stop going up. So that puts the $1.35 as public enemy number one. But all in all, any way you look at it from a trader standpoint, it's got everything you would want. It's got volume, it's got volatility. So we'll see how it goes on Tuesday. Next one, PLUG. Very, very impressive move on this one today. You can see right here, opening 30 minutes. Very nice breakout. In fact, the next 30 minutes was another solid green candle. A little bit of a pullback here, and then another breakout. And actually, as I speak right now, another breakout has already happened. So I was thinking I would probably be talking about how the price, let's see if it could break through that resistance trend line right there. But you can see as I speak, it's already broken through it. So yes, if you like to quote-unquote play the breakout, then technically you've missed out on the trade. But with that being said, this breakout here now allows for a very fascinating, very exciting question. And that question is this. Is this the start of something even bigger? Now think about that question. It makes no sense to ask that. Is this the start of something bigger if nothing has even happened in the first place? But something has happened here. You've gotten the breakout. Now, to be fair, maybe it's not. Maybe this thing just rolls right back over. So that's why risk management matters. But that is a two-sided coin because, maybe it is the start of something much bigger and this thing's getting ready to rock and roll that much more. So if you like these scenarios where something worthwhile has happened, and then you can keep an eye on it and ask that question, okay, is this thing, obviously in this situation, is this breakout the start of something bigger? Then certainly keep an eye on PLUG. Next one, NUWE, and it's had a bit of a pullback here, but I think a lot of people have drawn that trend line right there, and I make the comment about a lot of people drawing it because when lots of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So while nothing is guaranteed, is it valid? Is it plausible to think that if the price were to come up here and push up through that level, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a plausible scenario. So it's really as straightforward as that. If you like this price range down around the $5 mark, you like breakouts, then definitely keep an eye on this one, NUWE, headed into Tuesday. Next one, NVDA, and pretty straightforward here in terms of the analysis, especially from the resistance standpoint. That pink line, which I've already talked about now a couple of times, being the 200 period moving average. It's a very well-known, very famous level, and here's exactly why. You can see right there, it just absolutely smacked down the price late morning today. That's not to say that the price can never get up above it. I'm just saying it makes sense why the price did struggle at that level, and that moving forward, that'll definitely be the key battleground. So moving forward, 138.65 will definitely be public enemy number one from a resistance standpoint. Although as I speak right now, you can see things are having a rough afternoon. In fact, a pretty rough final 30 minutes. But also to give credit where credit's due, look right where the price is bounced off of. Yeah, that 50 period moving average. And then you look back through the history of things, you can see nice bounce right there. So the question becomes, will it bounce again right off that level? And if you're to say, I think it will because it's done it 2 times before, I can totally see where you're coming from. That doesn't mean it's guaranteed to happen, but there is logic behind that thought process. So definitely keep an eye on that purple line in the very near term. If the price does break through it and continue on down, next key level of support going to be right there at 134.75. But all in all, the day was fine. It did put in a higher high, even though it got rejected back down. But yeah, I'm very curious about that dynamic right there. Can the price stay above that 50 period moving average? We'll see what happens. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online webinar that I'm offering later on in the week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box you can use to sign up. Or if you're watching at my website, there's an area right there on the webpage you can use to sign up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free class. Next one here, ticker symbol TSLA, and overall, downtrend continues, lower highs, lower lows, but still from an overarching standpoint, it's above key levels. So what I'm going to do actually is just get rid of these lines here as they serve their purpose, and you could still use them if you wanted to, but I think there's just a much more cleaner way to gauge just moving forward, and that is just using our overall moving averages that you've already heard me talk about. And this top 10 list just happens to be one of those days where the moving averages just seem to be relevant in each of these. But moving forward from the support side of things, just watch out pink line right there, which you now know is the 200 period moving average, has a nice upward slope to it. And then on the resistance side of things, if the price does try to bounce, keep an eye on the purple line right there, the 50 period moving average. And if you just want to use these as trend lines to kind of create a pattern, so if we have something like that as resistance and then something like that as support, essentially there is this wedge pattern that is forming. So at this point, it's just pretty much a question of, if the price continues to chop back and forth, who is ultimately going to win the battle? Or the bull is going to win with a break to the upside, or the bear is going to win with a break to the downside? Grab your popcorn and we'll see what happens. Next one, ticker symbol TLRY, and had a very, very impressive start to the day. Big surge up, and then, pretty much the rest of the day, been a relatively big pullback. But with that being said, I'm just going to kind of crudely draw this. You would have to acknowledge, there was a pullback here. So from the very narrow standpoint, so if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, and you bought up there and your plan was to buy and sell with, 20 minutes, well then yes, from that perspective, the chart looks really, really bad. But if you do care about the big picture point of view, well, part of that is acknowledging, well, sure, fair enough, the price has pulled back. But what was the price doing before the pullback? And you'd say, well, the price was down here, and then it exploded all the way up there, which is now giving me the ability to draw a bull pennant pattern. In fact, for you golfers, I'll make a little bit more visual, put the golf hole down there. So bull pennant pattern. Again, I totally realize that if you're someone that bought up at the top, you don't care about this pattern. So that's why I'm trying to talk about different angles. So if you are someone that cares about the overall situation, then what we have, even with the pullback here, is the bull pennant pattern. So if you like bull pennants, you like stocks down below the $5 range, here you go. Next one, STAF, and I like this one here because it's pretty well defined, or at least in my opinion, more so kind of just the general status of things, and that is big move up, big move down, big move up, big move down, and then it started to get choppy here and at least go sideways. And that's what it all revolves around in my mind, is what's going to ultimately happen with this consolidation that happened after all the big swings got out of play. And that's where these two lines are coming into play. So we have that area of support right here, and at the same time we have this area of resistance right there. And like I said, the reason why I like this section is because this was very difficult to trade, right? Big swing down, big swing up, big swing back down, and then here it finally started to get a much tighter range, and now we have this wedge formation here. So who's going to ultimately win this battle? If you force me into a corner, you'd have to give the advantage to the bulls just because this isn't a gap up situation. Of course, that's not guaranteed to happen, but the overall context is a gap up. So like I said, if you force me to choose a side, you just based on the probabilities, you got to choose the bulls. But if you like these sorts of scenarios where you got a lot of wishy-washy action, but now you got a little bit more of a well-defined pattern, then keep an eye on it. Next one here, ticker symbol SMCI, and this one was very, very difficult and tricky to trade this morning. It gapped down through the bottom part of that pattern, so it looked like that pattern was completely broken, then shot all the way up to the top of the pattern in the same 30-minute session, consolidated out, got a slight little breakout, and then kind of rolled back over. So if you had a struggle trading SMCI this morning, I would not call you a bad trader. I'd say that was, I can see how that would happen given how crazy that opening period was. But with that being said, it remains a very popular stock out there. A lot of people still talking about it. And I make those comments because when lots of people are watching the same stocks and wondering the same things, it just goes back to that whole idea of self-fulfilling prophecies. And that's what we have here. So I want to try to figure out, what do I think is the most simple trend line to draw? And in my mind, I think a lot of people have drawn something very similar to that. Again, that means that that's probably the majority of eyeballs watching it. So if you want to play some sort of breakout, you could definitely keep an eye on that. With that being said, it's somewhat tricky because even if the price does break above that line, you don't want to get overly excited about it because not that far away, you have that 50-period moving average, which you know is that 50-period moving average. Did I say that 50-period moving average? I meant that purple line, which you know is a 50-period simple moving average. So, but if the price can break through both this level here and then that level, that would be a very impressive sign of strength. In terms of levels of support, no need to overcomplicate it. Just ask a very basic question. Where did the bleeding finally stop today? And the bleeding stopped during that opening 30 minutes right down there at $23.90. So we'll see if it seems like the selling pressure is alleviating itself. So can it get some sort of turnaround? We'll see how the next couple of days play out. Next, TQQQ, and overall, not a whole lot going on. Now, yes, obviously today, the price was down here. It went up there, went down there, then came back down. Now it's starting to roll back over. So that's fair enough. Today, individually, yeah, things happen. But when I say not a whole lot happened, I'm meaning multiple days and relative to these levels that I've already mapped out. The two main levels being, first off, that area of resistance up there at 72.40, which is actually now taking a back seat, and I'll explain that in a moment. And then also from a support standpoint, that area of support down there, which still the price isn't really that close to, but nonetheless, in my opinion at least, that still remains a key level and an interesting level moving forward. Now, I mentioned that this level here has now become second priority, and that is because the purple line right there, the 50-period moving average, has moved down below it. So now the 50-period moving average becomes priority number one from a resistance standpoint, with that level right there being priority number two. So keep an eye on those couple levels from the resistance standpoint if the price does try to bounce back upwards. But if this current action continues with this downwards move, then yeah, definitely keep an eye on that support trend line down there and see how the price behaves if it does indeed reach it. I'll get to Bitcoin here in just a second, but again, for you stock traders out there, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about this tool and how it can and should be used, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. Like I said, it'll be later this week on... There we go. Sorry, I lost track of my cursor there. It'll be Thursday, November 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so I hope to see you there. Now let's talk some Bitcoin. One quick clarification here. I am now on the 4-hour time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 4 hours and not 30 minutes. And that's because Bitcoin is open 24/7. So from just a video perspective and wanting this analysis to remain relevant for as long as possible by using a longer time frame and then walking you through some questions, I'll be able to keep this analysis relevant for as long as possible. So yeah, not the greatest weekend here for Bitcoin. And I'm just going to assume you're watching this video, 15 hours after I upload it. So, 15 hours from now or whenever you are watching this, question number one becomes, okay, where's the price at currently relative to that pink line, 200-period moving average, right now valued at, let's just call it 66,100. If in any way you're saying, well, Clay, the price is still above that level, that's it. That's good. I'm not going to say that's great, but even if the price were down here, that would still be implying that, let me actually do this so you can see it a little bit better. That would still be implying that from a big picture standpoint, you'd have a pretty big bull flag pattern, but you would still have a pattern in play. But if you're answering the question, well, Clay, I'm watching this 15 hours from now and the price is actually down below that level, I'm not going to say the entire chart's destroyed, but I would say that, okay, things are starting to look a whole lot shaky. How shaky? Well, this is where common sense can take over. Well, how far down below 66,100 is it? If the price is right here, okay, that's not the greatest thing. But if the price is, way down here or even lower, well, that's telling you that things have fallen off the rails that much more. But really moving forward, it goes back to, the two moving averages that we've been basically talking about. Keep an eye on that level there. You want to see the price above it. If somehow the price is above that purple line there, that would just be telling you that things have turned around very nicely for Bitcoin. Or if the price is, basically you're saying, well, Clay, the price is still above here, but it's still down below there. At that point, that's just a form of consolidation that is taking place. But moving forward, it's definitely all about that 50-period moving average and 200-period. As I invited the stock traders, I'm inviting you as a Bitcoin and crypto trader to definitely get signed up for the free live class, because what you'll learn about can and certainly should be used within the world of Bitcoin and crypto. So go get signed up. Like I said, it'll be later this week, Thursday, November 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please do a couple things for me. Hit that like button. And just if you're looking, hey, Clay, I don't have any money, but I'd like to help out the channel because I like your content. How can I help out? Just hit the subscribe button. Please hit the subscribe button. That does a whole lot, and I really do appreciate if you could do that. Like I said, to communicate that you enjoy this content. So hit that like button, be sure to subscribe, and definitely go get signed up for that free class.